In the shadow of decay I rise, typhus the herald beneath poison skies. With Nurgle's rot I lay walls to waste, the Reaper's scythe no life can escape. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God, where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Vessels water me hand in hand, rivers of filth drown the land. I am typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. Light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rot consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth, carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God, where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Vessels water me hand in hand, rivers of filth drown the land. I am typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. The Imperium's light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rot consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth, carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death. God, where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Vessels water me hand in hand, rivers of filth drown the land. I am typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. Language howl, the gassing walls, the vigilant tides, new light is born. Nurgle's passing, a twisted grace. I embrace your gods in my cold embrace. Fear the plague fleet, fear the end. No salvation, no let to defend. I am typhus, reaper of dread. Bow to Nurgle, embrace the dead.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Disgustingly Resilient podcast. Just the two of us here tonight. Dave couldn't make it; he had some family commitments, but nice to see everyone. Nice to see everyone in the chat. And yeah, we've got some interesting topics tonight. We're going to talk about the ultra menace, shall we say?
That's good.
God, yeah, Victrix guard seem to be sort of running riot, shall we say? But before we go too far in the episode, how's yourself, Aidan? Are you keeping well? If you sound a bit hoarse,
I'm a little rough sounding. I didn't do my throat any favors with a big stream at the weekend, but I'm all right. I'm surviving, and like you just said before we came on, if I'm gonna get ill, better get it out of the way before Christmas rather than at Christmas. So swings and roundabouts.
yeah, it's good. I mean, I think so much goes around this time of year, and I think you're inevitably going to get ill at some point. So get out the way early is probably the better rather than ruin Christmas and New Year. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
exactly.
hopefully Father Nurgle's gifts don't last too long.
I'll be more depressed if I can't taste my Christmas dinner.
Nah, you'll be good. Like I say, I've just come over it myself. I think it lasted about a week and a bit. Today's the first day I've got like taste back, but yeah, you'll blast through it. But how's chat doing anyway? Should we dive into
Yeah, I
chat
mean, we've
before we
already
get
got a lot of people in here already, a lot of comment, a lot of normal faces. We expect to see you. Chukanori's also celebrating his 13 months of membership, so thank you very much, Chukanori, with some throwing up faces there. And thank you for being a member 13 months, coming up on 14, which is double seven, so that's sacred number territory. And we've also got a gifted membership from Lazy Chicken. Thank you so much. And congrats to Jones the Cat who got that. So, very quickly, if you do enjoy the content we do here, we are Discussing Recent Podcast. We do Death Guard content literally like every week. We have a podcast episode. We also do videos. We do like list reviews, all that kind of stuff. So, if you enjoy it, feel free to leave a like and a subscribe. If you really, really enjoy it, you can consider becoming a member or maybe get gifted one like Lucky Boy did there. Where basically you get to join our Discord, you get access to all the great community there, and basically you'll never get kicked out. If you pay once and you're in, you'll never be booted out, even if you cancel your membership literally straight away. It's completely optional to support us, but it means that we can keep making all our content for free. So yeah, give it a consider if you're interested. And thank you very much, Lazy Chicken, for the gifted membership. Part of that, yeah, everyone seems to be doing well. Chukanori's saying he's now a Land Raider player, so we've converted someone to the Land Raider, apparently.
There you go, where's Zito in chat? Is this where Zito's ears burn and he just appears from nowhere like a genie? Someone just rubbed his lamp.
we've got Music Drive saying he's actually just started playing Orc Beast Snaggers. That's quite interesting. That's an interesting niche pick there. So it hasn't helped his win rate or anything. You are playing uphill on that one there, but I really appreciate it. Oliver's still enjoying his new Sabodan Khan, the new White Scars character. Although I have a little whisper, a little birdie told me that Mr. Oliver has actually picked himself up 12 Victrix guard and is intending to use them at an RTT this week coming, and a Storm Raven and Gilliman. So respect lost, I'm afraid. And Relic says, new to the faction, but loving all the content on Death Guard. I really love the detail given to help me become a better player. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy it. And welcome to Death Guard and welcome to the faction that me and Will here have basically been playing for. How many years have we been playing, Will?
I don't know. I'm a weird one. I played when I was a kid. I actually stopped when I was really young, probably 13 or something. Maybe like I was like 12 to 15, like really young, and then picked it up a few years ago. I think, including lockdown, probably about 5 years. I've been back in the hobby, I think.
Straight Death Guard.
But obviously,
pretty well. You dabble a bit with your war dogs and whatnot, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, since starting the podcast, I've not run anything other than Death Guard. I think full stop, actually. To be fair, I was going to say that apart from no, because if we're straight to the people on our team that I won't anything other than Death Guard, but I talk about team comps, I'm like, yeah, but I'm just taking Death Guard. Yeah, but Death Guard aren't good. Like, why don't you run Knights? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to run Death Guard.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, Death Guard was historically bad for so long. It's like the first edition we've been like competitively like pretty up there, which is quite funny to see. Phil Gagnon also saying his girlfriend has chosen her new army for 11th edition. She chose Emperor's Children. And you know what they say, Will? The army reflects the player, so you lucky dog. That's probably why I'm ill all the time as well, because I think the army reflects me. But yeah, no, it's good to see everybody in the chat. And as Will said, the main topic today is those boys in blue, and basically they have kind of come out swinging into the meta. So very quickly, I've got a meta data slate up here. So Space Marines, since the slate, are sitting at a 50% win rate, but that's actually high. Will, do you want to explain quickly why Marine win rate is a bit deceiving?
So I suppose because there's such a big player base, so you've got everyone from. So a lot of people, Marines will be their first army. So because of the first army, you get like a lot of my first tournament players who return it with like 2 commands, combat patrols. Yeah, 2 combat patrols and a Land Raider, and sort of like, you know, just going 0-5 and just learning the game and getting a feel for it. Obviously, then at the other end of the scale, you have the sort of meta chasers, but of the overall Marine player base, the meta chasers make up quite a small percentage. So when Marines are doing well on a whole, the fact that there's enough people pulling the Timmies up, it kind of shows you that there's something going on. And yeah, I mean, that's like the rough sort of like breakdown. Yeah. There's probably a little bit more to it, but if you wanted to sort of summarise in a couple of mins, that's the best way to think.
Yeah, so remember, I mean, out of those Marine players, we've had the 638 Marine players have been attending events. They have a times in winning position of 56, which is quite high, far higher than any other faction on here. Actually, World Eaters, I think, is the second highest at 40. But World Eaters struggling to convert their T-Whip into actual event wins, only having themselves 7 event wins compared to Space Marines 17 event wins since the data slate. So like, don't get me wrong, like as I will say right now, it's not Sky is Falling. It is not release Eldar broken or anything like that. But it's definitely looking like Victrix Guard, Ultramarines are here. They're making an impact on the meta. And if you are going to an event and you are wanting to do well, you are going to have to prepare for them. Now, the odds are out on whether this unit needs a nerf. I'm on the side of yes, but I don't think it's like catastrophic.
It definitely needs.
But it's not. It's not like catastrophic game ending. Like can't win against this possibly. But it definitely. It's the unit itself is. Oh, it's. I don't know if it's overtuned or if it's just undercosted. I think maybe a bit of both, just because of the amount of stacking of rules Marines can do with characters and whatnot. But they're also like 210 points for 6 is a bit absurd. Let's be honest, it's a bit daft.
They probably need to be at least 240, I think, and even then maybe it's 250. I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it? Because offensively, they're not as scary. They're not as scary offensively as the Mebbies might seem. They'll blend some targets, but as soon as you hit, like say, toughness breakpoints hurt them. Like for example, T12 stuff, they're not going through it. Yeah. They'll hurt it though, and obviously there's other stuff in the list because the problem is they're so cheap that if you can deal with all the Victrix guards, you've still got like another 1,400 points. Yes, they're a quarter of the list. I think the other thing that was interesting to mention there, just before we sort of go into it, is World Eaters being up there too, because Victrix Guard and World Eaters, some of the things that like we might struggle specifically into them because of our movement, the tools that would beat Victrix Guard would also do well into World Eaters. So that's quite an interesting thing that they're both high in the meta.
Yeah, especially because like the core rule for the Vitrix Guard is that Blood Surge, which is obviously a very core rule you find in World Eaters. So it's quite actually an interesting thing there. So if you do end up teching for this, you probably actually, as you said, end up by accident sort of teching a bit towards World Eaters. So actually, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see as the meta adapts if World Eaters sort of get caught in the meta, the meta adaptation crossfire. That's a good point, actually. Well, hello, Cat.
Oh, he's back in the background. There you go, Seamus.
That's really funny. But I mean, like, apart from that, like Death Guard themselves are a 46.91% win rate, but we still got 3 event wins, and we still have 8 positions in winning. Sorry, we have not 8. Sorry, 19 T-Whip positions. So it's not Sky is Falling. I think if there was to be a data slate tomorrow, we might maybe get like a small buff for like maybe like 50 points, 60 points or so, which I mean I'd happily still take. But I think reality is probably going to be more like looking at bringing like some of the top stuff down. Eldar's still in the meta at the moment, obviously. Necron's still just doing well. When don't Necrons ever just do okay at least, bare minimum?
Yeah, I mean, Necrons are just a funny one, aren't they? Like, because I know a lot of people think Necrons are fine, which I think they are at the moment, but they're just such a toxic play style. Like, their army is just a stats check, and it's just pick your stats check, innit? It's sort of, I don't know. And DJs just kill everything efficiently. There's nothing in the game they don't efficiently kill.
DJs have a great matchup into this. It's AP4. Flat 4 damage, like they get to shoot some Victrix Guard. It's really gonna hurt. Even the Silent King with his 2 menace, flat 6 damage, they'll kill a guy each. They got quite a lot of answers to them, to be fair, in that book. But again, I think the problem's going to be the sort of, can you out cost effectiveness it? Because as you said, there's still like an entire army around it. But I mean, as you were saying there though, like Victrix themselves, they do have some weaknesses. The one being like they don't do great into toughness 12. Now, the one thing that I think might get changed recently as it comes out is I don't think Ultramarines need the +1 to wound from oaths anymore. That is a big proponent of what's still allowing that squad to hit up. Because if you aren't T12, that strength 6,
Here's a quick point which is interesting on the oath. Because Ultramarines, Victrix Guard have to be an Ultramarine, so they have to get the oath +1 to wound. Like that's always available to them. It's interesting that wasn't factored into their points because it definitely hasn't been. Yeah. Like that alone transforms, like being strength 5 and having +1 to wound transforms that unit just on its own dramatically.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a miss from GW there, I think.
As you said there, like if you swing into anything that's not T12, you can pop your once per game banner to get the +1 strength, and now you're wounded on 4s with a +1 to wound, which is, and don't like wounded on 4s isn't the greatest, but when you have models that have 6 attacks each, like, and like the volume there starts to make up. Plus you've got the rerolls to hit, so you're pretty much guaranteed hitting everything because your weapon skill 2, and then you're wounded on 4s. You'll kill a lot of things just by weight of dice alone. So they can punch up, like you said. T12 is sort of the biggest point because going from 5s to 4s to wound is pretty big. Going from 6s to 5s still big. Don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near as bad as being wounded on 4s. Like still being wounded on 5s allows you to sort of like still play around a bit. But yeah, it's an interesting unit because it's not just damage output. They are, I mean, defensively they're a weird profile. They are 4 wounds, which is both good and bad. It means that those flat 3 damage weapons like IHBL drones and things like that are just far less efficient at killing them. Lord of Contagions are less efficient at killing them. But at the same time, like it kind of makes damage 2 better. It doesn't make them better because it's still requiring 2 to kill, but they don't waste damage in that way. Like it's more efficient. And no invulnerable, which is probably like quite a big deal for Death Guard because we have quite a few ways to stack AP against that unit. Obviously baseline -1 save and making them toughness 3 is pretty good as well.
We have a lot of anti-infantry as well, but
yeah,
we'll get into it. I think the anti-infantry is a bit of a trap, to be honest with you, because it's only 1 damage. Like very quickly, for example, you just math out a bloat drone, 7 hits or seven shots from the 2 spitters,
6 wounds.
You're going to drop 1,
Yeah.
obviously 6 wounds. They make half the saves because obviously it's with the contagion, it's 2 to 4, and then you've took 3 wounds off
kill
one guy. You haven't even killed one. That cost you 100 points. So I actually, as much as we have the anti-infantry, I don't think that's the way to go. I think that's a bit of a trap because I've seen a few people message me like, oh, but isn't it really good because you've got that? I think maybe on something like Death Shroud with a load of virulence attached where it's like lots of shots re-rolling, that probably adds up a little bit more. But when we get into it, I think there's a few traps to avoid because as much as we can be efficient at killing them, the 1 damage doesn't really go far enough to sort of like capitalise on it. I think not for the points that you spend them.
What we'll do then is we'll describe the Victrix and what they can do, and then we'll go into like traps, and we'll go into what we think can sort of deal with it. Because straight up, we're looking at, like we said, a toughness 4, which is toughness 3 in most cases. If I'm going to say if we're in contagion, you're going to get into toughness 3, which is pretty good. We have ways to apply that ranged as well. So
actually, let's like so. With contagion here, let's sort of, because there is a boogeyman which I think we're good dressing at the start. There might not be in contagion because the problem is the blood surge. Because we have to stand back from the blood surge unless we've got a countercharge unit. Contagion might not be there until turn 3, unless we're shooting it with plague marines or something. So this is, I think, something that kind of where we struggle because I know some armies are like, well, you just focus them down, you kill 1 unit, and then you sort of mob there. But like that's great if you're like Grey Knights and you've got uppy downy quick moving units. But we're kind of quite stationary, and the blood surge makes them quicker than us.
And we've also got double reactive move as well because they've got the normal stratagem that they're obviously going to use. And if they're in tactical doctrine, I think it's just flat 6. But if they have Cato Sicarius, which they're probably going to take him, but the old one, not the new one, they'll probably use a new model though, he gives the squad a flat reactive move as well. So you can have double reactive moves, which is a pain in the ass to deal with. So they can choose, as Will said there, to either be reactive move outside of contagion range or, you know, potentially reactive move towards you so that you get 1 shot off and then they're going to blood surge into you. So these are things we're going to have to factor in to how we're going to deal with them. They also have a permanent, very interesting, because it's Ultramarines, which is better than you, and they know it. Their -1 to wound is not if your strength is higher. It is just always on, which is stupid if you ask me. So if you are, you know, if you're a strength 3 lasgun, you need 6s to wound now. Even if you're wounded on equal, now you need 5s to wound. And it can make them a little bit more durable than you'd expect. As Will said, that we have ways around that, which we'll get into, but they could be traps, like, you know, anti-infantry X. But it does, it is something to bear in mind, but it also means you don't have to feel bad about dropping the toughness, because it's always annoying to drop something's toughness and then make that strength profile be higher than the toughness and then get the -1 to wound anyway. So it's going to happen regardless, so don't factor that in. And we do have ways to counter that as well. But those are 2 of the things. So we got Blood Surge to worry about. We've got reactive moves to worry about. Armor of Contempt is still a thing, and that means if you bring a single unit that is like fully focused on just dumping a load of damage out, like a Night Despoiler, for example, it's very easy for that unit to armor contempt that unit, that Night Despoiler, and basically just be like, haha, you have 0 AP for this turn. Because all the activations in one. So maybe one central big unit to put out the damage isn't the greatest of calls in that situation, because it will AOC it. Especially stacked with cover, that's basically with a 2-up save going to give them effectively a -1 save, a 0-up save as they like to say, which is going to be a pain in the ass to deal around. So we've got to factor that in as well. Any other standard marine tricks, one of them can have the normal Victrix guard with Calgar in it, so there's going to be 2 4-up invulnerables in there as well, which is a bit of a pain in the ass again. I think that's sort of all the defensive tricks. So we got Blood Surge, Reactive. Oh, one of them's going to be in Deep Strike with Uriel Ventress and can Rapid Ingress. So you got to bear that in mind as well. So you're going to need some screens as well out here because he gives them Deep Strike. And he's also going to have a Vector Aura. So any stratagems you use are also going to be...
the biggest.
Yeah, an extra CP. So quite a few things they can do, right? So go on, Will. You go into your traps, mate. What do you think are some traps that we can fall into early?
So it's a couple of things just to add on there. So don't have an invuln save outside of the attached characters and Victrix guys. That is something we can maybe exploit a little bit. So there might be some tech that we can throw in there. This might be the one time where a Predator's possibly worth putting in your list. But we'll come through. So the traps of like... The traps is... I don't know, the traps, I guess, is trying to get too close. Because the Blood Surge is what we're talking about. We haven't actually really described it very well. It's the datasheet rule from the Khorne Berserkers. And it's called Blood Surge there, so every other unit that gets it just kind of gets the same name because it was originally just given to them. It means that when you shoot them, they get to move towards you, and they can move D6 +2
They don't
plus
get
engagement.
+2. So just bear that in mind, they don't get +2.
Do they not?
Just D6.
Okay. I thought they did get +2. I thought they couldn't do it flat.
I will double check it. So you keep.
Yeah,
because
we were talking about this in the chat. Because I thought they could flat 6. Apparently they can't flat 6. It's D6 +2 is what Andy Mitten said. I might be wrong. He might have got that wrong though, because obviously in our team chat there's been a few wrong bits of information that one person put and someone else had to correct. One person in there played them as T6, which made me like, because he thought they had 4-boss armor and didn't think to actually look at the data sheet when he was running them. So yeah, that was its own thing. Yeah, T6 -1 to wounds, a different profile.
Right, I've got one now. Give us a second. Let me find Victrix guard. That's Blades of Ultramar. Victrix guard. That's Calgar. Where are they? That's Titus. That's Shrike. Where are you, Victrix guard? There you are. Is that you? Yeah, they're gone. They are. It is just D6. Yeah, just flat D6. No +2.
Oh right, okay. That's not too bad then. So it's D6 plus engagement. You've got to remember engagement's part of this as well. So it's potentially 7. You've got to stand back. Which standing back 7 isn't actually that rough. Like you'd rather not do it, but it's a you're more like to make the charge and not make it. But I think some of the biggest traps are going to fall into is trade downs into this unit
as well. Just for chat, yes, that Blood Surge is optional. They don't have to do it. It's an optional choice.
And they choose when they do it. Yeah. So they might, and also with Blood Surge, it's another thing to remember. It has to go to the nearest model. It's like a piling, so you can control where the Blood Surge goes. So if you want the Blood Surge to happen, you could put, say, like a squad of, Poxwalkers 2 inches away from them in a line with your Death Shroud standing an inch behind the Poxwalkers and go, I'm happy for you to Blood Surge into the Poxwalkers because then I'm going to counter-charge with Death Shroud and it's going to be an unfadable charge. So you can set up those kind of traps, but then that's when they probably don't. They might choose not to do it. So that's an example. But I think one of the big traps here is trade downs. For example, in Virulent Vectorum, we were talking about this in the chat. Virulent Vectorum, 10 Plague Marines in Virulent Vectorum with all the bells and whistles do probably one-tap them. But the problem is you spent 400 points to kill 280 points with the attached character, and because that unit is paper thin, you'll get it once. Fair play, you might get the once in a blue moon. You might do a lucky split fire, pick up 2 squads in shooting, charge another one and take a chunk off there. But the amount of times that happens, and even the split fire picking up 2 is very unlikely. It's just kind of like it'll happen on paper, but never in the real world. Realistically, you'll do 1-for-1. They'll happily take that trade. They'll pick up your 10 plague marines and they'll go, right, buzzing. So I think that's another trap to be careful of. Anything that you can think of, Aidan?
I think in terms of traps, we gotta look out for Blood Surge. Reactive move is going to be a big problem, especially if you just are playing to put something in contagion with like walking up 6 towards it, and you like normally you can just put something in contagion like you're happy, whereas here like you're gonna have to sort of overdo the contagion over them, otherwise they're just gonna react and move out of it, and there's nothing worse than like doing that. So I think one of the things you're gonna have to do to avoid a trap is if you're gonna try and get this unit in contagion, those are the units you need to move first, because you don't want to line up all your guns, for example, to shoot the unit and then get your contagion unit to move last and the reactive move from that. Not only dodge a bunch of your guns, but also get out of contagion. It's so sequencing wise, I think it's very important if you're going to commit to try and get one of these guys in contagion, you basically try and commit to it as soon as possible. So that's a bit of a thing. As you said there, Blood Surge is a big thing as well. So, and obviously keep an eye out for doctrine, because if they're in tactical doctrine, flat 6 reactive move compared to D6, it's a big difference. Like, real big difference.
Yeah. Is the reactive move, is it triggered if you go within 9 or
yes,
6?
Standard 9.
Okay, so that's annoying then if it's within 9. If it was within 6, it would be much easier to play around. But yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so what? I think we've kind of broke down what Victrix Guard do quite well now. What do we think of some of the counters? So I actually think, and I think if you were going to do this to like build a list just to count them, I think the Demons detachment has got so much stuff going on.
It's got so much good stuff for it.
Like, there's loads of combos you can do, but there's combos, for example, you can make Plague Bearers surprisingly good into them, but it's a combo that involves a Great Unclean One and Rotigus, because you can make them double -2 toughness, so you'll be double the strength. So then with them as you wound on 3s, and Rotigus can make them damage 2, and then you can actually make them trade down into your, because you can come in within 6 and then have +1 to your charge to actually charge them 9. If you roll your dice first on that, you actually pick up a considerable amount of the squad to sort of like then force them to trade badly, but there's so many hoops to jump through, and Rotigus does absolutely blend them on his own, by the way.
Rotigus absolutely smashes them. It's pretty funny. I mean, so just to caveat this, as we're going into this, actually I think as an army we actually have quite a few tools. As Will alluded to there, Demons is definitely one of them. I mean, one of the base tricks, obviously, for Demons is you can contagion them without proccing reactive move, because you get +3 inch contagion, which means you actually on turn 3 have a 12-inch contagion. Turn 2, if you've got a Lord of Poxes, so he actually could be an interesting tech piece, because you can stand outside of 9, still put them in contagion, not trigger that reactive move, and still be able to obviously then, contagion them, which is obviously big. -1 save, -1 toughness. That's really, really good. And as Will said there, access to demons, the demon units actually can do a good job against them. Beast of Nurgle are kind of weird against them, because they don't, so the Beast of Nurgle is weird because they don't really want to oath a Beast of Nurgle. It's a 60-point unit. But if they don't oaths that unit, they wound it on 5s, and they have quite a bit of attacks, don't get me wrong, but if they don't kill it, it heals to full, which is incredibly annoying for them. So it's a bit of a weird one where if you can ever like tag them with like a Beast of Nurgle and then something else take the attacks off it, you could potentially keep them there for a term, which is pretty good. But there's plenty of contagion tricks. Now, Rotigus is obviously amazing for just killing that unit. Flat 4 damage, 7 attacks, AP 4 in contagion, because I forgot Rotigus is AP 3 baseline, which is absolutely bonkers.
He blends them.
Yeah. Now, also this detachment has tons of 6-inch deep strike.
There's also one strat in this detachment.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get to that.
So 6-inch. So bear in mind. Okay, very quickly, because a lot of people get this mixed up. You cannot reactive move a deep strike. So if I deep strike within 9 of you, or within 6, because I have 6-inch deep strike, because I have demons or death shroud, you cannot reactive move the deep strike.
You also can't reactive move the disembark from a vehicle.
Correct.
When you move, so you can't react so. Kind of Rhino, the first 3 you have to get inside. You can't do that, because that's actually a separate move to then the 5 that follows. So the 5-inch from a plague me. That's why I talk about 5
So
inches,
you can, as Will is saying here, you can drive up to a unit of Victrix Guard, stay 9.1 inches away from them, 9.01, disembark inside the 9 inches with a unit of Plague Marines or whatever it is you want to, and that unit there cannot be reactive moved to because it is a disembark, which is a setup move, not a movement, so they can't reactive move that either. And again, so what you can do is, for example, in this instance, you could drive a Rhino up to them. If you're really trying to get them in contagion range, you're only on turn 2, so even if you have demons nearby a Rhino, that's going to be a 9-inch contagion. Can't use that because if you move within 9, they're going to reactive move. But what you can do is you can drive up your Rhino to 9.01 away. You disembark inside the 9 inches with a unit of 5 Plague Marines or whatever, and then you can have a Beast of Nurgle or 3 Nurglings or whatever it is be on the 7 inches away from those Plague Marines on the other side of the Rhino. They then add the 3 inches to the contagion range, making them a 9-inch contagion range, and now you've got them in contagion. So there's quite a lot of tricks you can do it. Now, one thing you've got to be careful of when it comes to 6-inch deep, just where we get into that one you just said there, Will. If you 6-inch deep strike away, whether that's Death Shroud, and Death Shroud will have this problem a little bit, if you shoot that unit, you are obviously at risk of being blood surged into on a 5. They'll make it into combat because, as Will said, engagement range, 1 inch. So, the reason Taliban doesn't give a shit is because if I put a unit of, 10 Plague Bearers or whatever it is, 5 inches away from you, well, 6 inches away from you, sorry, I say 5 because it's always a 5 on the charge, and then I shoot you and you blood surge into the Plague Bearers, what can Taliban do, Will?
A strat where if you're in combat with a demons unit, you can still shoot the targets if it's not an engagement race. And this is where it comes back to the Beast of Nurgle. The Beast of Nurgle are amazing at this because the caveat of that strat is, I think for every model you kill, you have to roll a dice on a 5+ the unit that your friendly unit takes a wound. Do it on a Beast of Nurgle because you're very unlikely to do seven models. And if you do at that point, you don't care about the Beast of Nurgle. You have to roll it anyway. But the Beast of Nurgle gets all his wounds back, basically, at the end of the phase. So the Beast of Nurgle are amazing for this. And you set it up by making sure the Beast of Nurgle is the closest unit for the Blood Surge. They have to Blood Surge into the Beast. Combat rules still apply. They have to all base the Beast if they can. They can't ignore the Beast and go to the next unit. They can only do that, I think, if the Beast base is like, you can't get any more models around.
Even then, even on the Surge move, they can only move into an engagement range of the unit that's the closest. So even if they have, even if they can't base the base anymore, they would have to stop 1.1 away from everything else.
That's good to know.
But the cool thing about this as well is the Beast of Nurgle is unlikely to trigger your opponent to reactive move because they're just going to look and be like, it's a Beast of Nurgle. It charges me on average, it kills none on average. So they're just going to be like, cool, don't really care about that. And then suddenly, they're like, and obviously they see it as an opportunity of, okay, cool, well, if they shoot me now, I'll just Blood Surge, kill the Beast for free. Whereas reality in your head, you can shoot them. If they Blood Surge, you pop the stratagem. And this is where things like Plague Bus and stuff can get amazing because you can shoot them with like a bloat drone. They Blood Surge into the Beast. You've pulled up a Plague Bus nearby. You can now shoot all your Flamers into that unit, even though it's locked in combat with your Beast. And I think the Plague Bus, especially, and this is the other good thing, the Plague Bus's biggest problem against this unit is it's going to be hard to trigger the rerolls because normally, obviously what would happen is the Plague Bus would drive up. If you want the rerolls, you disembark. And now the problem is the Rhino has to shoot first to get the rerolls, but that will trigger the Blood Surge. And if they make combat, then your Playcasters can't shoot anything because they're in combat now. But in Taliban, as Will said there, if the Beast of Nurgle goes in first, or Nurglings, or whatever it is, you can shoot the Rhino to proc the rerolls. They Blood Surge, make it into combat. You pay the stratagem to make your Beast not be in combat or whatever demon it is. And now your Playcasters can shoot wounded on 3s because of the -1 to wound, but with full rerolls to wound at AP 3. And chances are as well, if you make sure Blood Surge is kind of in a position that's kind of open, they're not going to get cover because they're going to be in the open because you have to Blood Surge where your model is. So you can kind of control their movement. And you can do a shit ton of damage to them that way. But let's not forget also, the Deep Strike for Demons is not conditional on Contagion, so you don't have to risk triggering a reactive move. Your Beckoning Blight can drop 12 inches away from them if you want to. No way near, and still get a 6-inch, 5-inch charge off with your demons, whatever you want. There's so many tricks in Taliban for like just making the most out of this. And also like Nurglings, they can still move block this unit to higher hell. Like they're a foot unit, they don't have fly, they don't have the ability to go through stuff. And yes, that unit will blend a unit of 6 Nurglings pretty easily. But again, if it buys you a turn, and again, if they Blood Surge into it, you just pay a CP and you just go, cool, I'll shoot the Nurglings, I don't care. It's pretty crazy.
The other thing actually with the Plague Bus it's worth mentioning you might not always want to disembark from the plague bus. You might want to keep it as one shooting activation because that's the other way around. If you shoot both the guys, so you might, if the other players, you go, right, okay, I don't. You can sort of set it up so you don't care what the reactive moves or you don't care about the blood surge if you get one activation into it, which is why the 10 plague marines is good because it's all just one activation. So you might kill them or do so much damage after the shooting. It doesn't matter what the blood surge does because it's going. There might not be enough for them to like do the damage that they're wanting to that's left in the unit. So that's something to consider as well, like trying to keep things inside one activation. But Aiden's right. I think you probably do want the re-rolls because even if you get them in contagion, you'd be winning on threes, would be twos, but threes because of the -1 to wound. So I think there's considerations with it, but I think the plague bus in this matchup is really good, especially because you can also put -2 move on them if you are shooting outside of the plague bus as well.
Yes, and do bear in mind. So here's a really really interesting thing. You can't reactive move more than your actual movement value as well. So if Rotigus manages to walk up to a unit and put it inside the -2 movement range, they can max reactive move 4 because a reactive move is a normal move and you can never make a normal movement higher than your movement value. So if they've pre-measured to be like, if I get a 6, I go behind this wall and I'm in tactical doctrine, you can drop it, walk up Rotigus and be like, now you movement 4, bitch. You can't go behind that wall.
If it's the first thing you shoot with the plague caster, then does that also mean that's -2 off the reactive move?
No,
I don't know.
the surge move is not a normal move.
Right.
And by the time it gets back to your movement phase, the plague caster ability would have fell off because shooting's after movement, isn't it?
Got you. Right, yes. This is just a reactive move, not the blood surge, right?
Yes,
Okay.
just the
That
reactive
makes
move.
sense.
Blood surge is blood surge is not a normal move, it's a surge move or whatever they've called it now. But the reactive move is a normal move because I remember the whole thing with John Lennon where he reactive moved 6 on a 5-inch move unit and it literally made no difference to the game, but the internet was like,
right,
cheater,
yeah,
kill him.
Yeah, I get it.
So yeah,
Right.
so if you walk Rotigus up, you make a -2. They've pre-measured a 6-inch reactive move behind a wall. Suddenly they can't do it, and you're like, cool, lol, have fun with that one. But yeah, so someone's in chat has asked though, we don't all own Nurgle demons, so what can we do in other detachments? Well, Will alluded to one great trick before, which is another trick that we can do with our Poxwalkers. So Blood Surge move, obviously, if you deep strike 6 with Death Shroud, the one thing you don't want to have happen to your Death Shroud is get Blood Surged into, not because Death Shroud are particularly super mega scared of them, but because you will lose Lance, and because you don't make a charge move. And Lance is the perfect counter to the -1 to wound, because you're strength 8 with +1 to wound, and they're -1 to wound, so you'll still wound them on 2s. So what you can do with Poxwalkers is the Poxwalkers can be your sort of surge screen, and the cool thing is Poxwalkers' base size is actually less than an inch, which means that even if you make a wall of Poxwalkers and they blood surge into one side, you are completely legal to charge the other side of your own Poxwalkers with Death Shroud, because you will end in engagement range of an inch into them and then fight through the Poxwalkers into your opponent. So you will still be able to get the charge bonus off, which means you'll fight first and you'll get Lance. So Poxwalkers sort of teaming up with your deep striking Death Shroud can basically make that combo basically immune to blood surge in a way. Now don't get me wrong, obviously if your Death Shroud do get blood surge, you can still fire your pistols. So if you're ever going to shoot, save the Death Shroud to shoot till last, because if they get blood surged into, they can still shoot. Never lead with the Death Shroud, because obviously if they shoot and then you get blood surged into, nothing else can. So, there's an issue. There are some other good units as well that can be taken in a detachment. So, Will, have you got some unit suggestions for, especially for like stacking AP, etc.?
I mean, the Predator's a good one because obviously you can shoot the Predator and get through Armour of Contempt. Because they don't have an invuln, if you can put Contagion and then an extra AP on there, that adds up. And another thing to remember is as well, when we're talking about spreading Contagion, is the Plague Marines datasheet rule. You might, for example, it depends on what your list is and what your list has got going on. So you do have the 10 Plague Marine brick, and they're gonna like try and obliterate one of the squads. You might try and, if you can, try and do one 24-inch shot. It might be like on the cusp of another squad, just to put them in contact so the army get something. Obviously, you'll trigger the blood surge, so you maybe don't want to do that. But there's things like that are out there. But I think, as you probably alluded, everything's difficult and everything's going to have a caveat. Like, everything's going to be a trade-off. It's like, do I stand 7.1 inches back, so I definitely can't be blood surge? You know, you put like loads of units 7.1 inches back around the squads, and then, you know, okay, maybe you get to unload everything, but then no one passes their charges, or you don't do enough damage. Or as Aiden says, they let you do it, and then the very, very last one, they go, right, I'm going to reactive move now, and then all your units are out of place to a unit that's a ghost now, doesn't exist. Like this, or they move forward, so all of a sudden that 7 inches you thought you were setting up is now, as soon as you shoot one gun, you're in you're in engagement. So I don't think there's going to be a great game plan for them. I think the only great game plan is the Demon's Attachment, to be honest. I think the Demon's Attachment, you can actually control the game, and you can sort of play a game where they're actually having to sort of kind of play around you in a way where they don't want to come close to your beasts. They want to be like near another unit on a blood surge into. But I think the Demon's Attachment that maybe builds to take this, if you're going to build just to combat this list, it might have problems elsewhere in the meta, which is sort of like another thing that this army might also be a problem with, because, example, what beats this army might not do very well into Eldar. I don't know, like, it's a funny one. I don't know what, when it comes to other units though, it's only really Death Shroud with Lance to get past the -1 to wound. The Predator had an extra AP,
I think
and then the Plague Bus I can think of.
I think the Demon Prince in VV can give them not as a killing issue, but again, we talked about toughness 12 being quite annoying for them, because they don't tend to have access to lethal hits. They don't tend to have, +1 to wound as an oath is decent, but even then, like, you wounded a Demon Prince on foot on 5s, and these guys feel no pain. So, like, I wouldn't go putting your Demon Prince into the Calgar unit, because Calgar will kill you, because he's like strength 8, twin linked, flat 3 damage. But I reckon the Demon Prince can probably bully the other units, the ones with like Katos Carius or Ventress in. He can probably go bully them pretty easily, especially if you have the -1 damage up, because you can just be like, cool, now you damage 1, you're going to be on 5s, and then again you can start, especially if they start chipping you down, you can then start using Leech Spore Eruption, dealing mortal wounds to them, killing a guy, healing up, kill like 1 or 2 in melee. Like, it's not a unit that's going to go in and blend it, but it's a unit that can sort of keep them there for a little bit. Now, obviously, the problem with that is they can at any point fall back, advance, and charge, because Marines can do fucking everything. But it's a unit that's going to be a bit troublesome for them to sort of deal with.
Yeah. I mean, Morty's the same. Morty's probably great in the specific match, because you can even reactive move the reactive moves and all that kind of stuff. But, like, I don't know if Morty's ever going to justify the points for this specific matchup. And the -1 damage is huge as well in Virulent Vectorium, which is another one. But I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know really. Like, I need to sort of play the matchup to really get my head around it, because I think the Demons ones, I can actually see it, how it sort of looks on the table by just sort of like thinking about it. But I don't think the bloat drones are particularly great in this matchup. I don't think Mephitic Blight Haulers. I mean, Mephitic Blight Haulers are all right, I guess, if you get them in the 9-inch. I don't know. I don't know what the shooting platforms are outside of the Plague Bus that's particularly efficient in that profile. Like Predators with heavy bolter sponsons, maybe, because it's just sort of spamming damage too. But then
Byron in chat before, he did put a $5 super chat. I haven't forgotten it. Apologies. But he did put Foul Blight spawns looking pretty good, because they turn off the advance and charge from like Assault Doctrine, which is pretty good. Anti-infantry 2 up actually have good AP and are 2 damage. So they could actually like potentially kill a guy. If you roll 6, you can potentially kill 2 guys. That's pretty good on its own. So I would be quite interested to see like Foul Blight spawn. Again, Foul Blight spawn sort of like a playcaster in a way in terms of like how it does. So that can get pretty interesting. I will say, so thank you for that donation as well, mate. So yeah, that's a good shout, and the aura is pretty nice as well. I think Champions of don't forget VV also has the ability to add contagion range to everything. So that that would help you again if you bring like a lot of poxies, for example, which might be again interesting tech piece. On turn 2, he can have a 12-inch contagion range, which would then allow you to get around a lot of the sort of reactive moves and guarantee you can get a 6-inch deep strike off, charge it, hit it with lance, kill it, potentially at least do a lot of damage, and then you -1 damage to the hit back, which would be pretty nice, because then you're like, okay, cool, I can sort of tank this a bit. And then a lot of contagion hits, maybe kills a couple of guys, so that's pretty good. We've also got Champions of Contagion. I think if Champions has always had this thing where it's like if Champions of Contagion wants to kill something, it will fucking kill it. Like crit 5's full rerolls on, I think even 3 Death Strand, a lot of Contagion kills the entire 6-man, I'm pretty sure.
It will do with the 3CP, yeah. Like it kills nearly the game, that unit, with 3CP.
Sorry.
But then you have to have the 3CP, and you've got to remember, actually, here's another thing that's actually quite important, which you might be able to get around with these specifically champions. Someone pointed out to me the other day, the Blood Surge only works when you kill a model in that unit.
Yes.
So it doesn't just trigger when you hit. So what you could do is, because the problem with a lot of the champion stuff is like the big full reroll to hit force wound, you have to kill a model. You could try and set it up where you wound a model that you deliberately like try and leave it and then throw grenades last, because it can't reactive move to grenades because it's not a shooting attack. So it's really hard to set up.
That's actually really clever.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like it'll be really hard, but then you can get your one-more combo. Because the problem is to get your rerolls, you're going to have to trigger the reactive move. But you might be able to game it. But then again, if you in that one, you might just put Poxwalkers and go, I don't care. Reactive move into Poxwalkers. I've got 3 CP. Because that's a problem with that detachment. That detachment's great. But then until you start adding in the characters to trigger all the strats, and then you find you haven't got a unit count, and then everything's fighting for CP. But at the same time, does making infantry toughness 9 affect them as well, or is that just a bit of a moot point? I don't know.
It doesn't really affect the Victrix guard because they're strength 5 up to 6. It doesn't hit that 10 break point, unfortunately. I don't think we have any way to reduce strength because I know we used to be able to do that in Index, but I don't think we can do it anymore. But that's an interesting point, actually, that you made there. It's pretty good. I think another one in Champions is if you ever get Final Ingredient, because Final Ingredient should be quite like they're going to be
too.
Fight first as well. Fight first is going to be pretty good, but they're also going to be like.
No, I mean Typhus' ability. It doesn't trigger the reactive move. It's not a shooting attack.
Oh yeah, so you can just do Typhus' freaking mortal wounds. That would.
If you do that and grenades, I mean, this is mainly for champions players who are trying to like kill a model without triggering the reactive move. I don't think Typhus is going to like do. He doesn't roll enough dice for it to be like reliably killing and doing like loads of damage with this psychic attack.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to kill a model and not trigger the reactive move, Typhus then a grenade should get one, and they can't do anything about that.
I think.
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
No, sorry. I was gonna say if you are a Final Ingredient enjoyer, because there's gonna be a character in every one of these squads, and they're gonna have to be sort of aggressive with them to get value. So killing a character might not be the hardest thing. You might be able to kill one. If you do, I think this might be one of the matchups where you actually forgo the -1 to hit because the weapon skill to these units with oaths usually, so they're gonna reroll everything. So this might be one of the ones, but they are OC2 this unit, so being able to drop them down to OC1 kind of puts them back a level playing field where maybe they can't hold primary as well as normal, because again the problem is they're OC2, which we've got to mention at the start, which means even our OC in 1 points can be annoyingly tricky, but dropping them down. So if you do have something like Final Ingredient, maybe this is one of the matchups where you look at actually going -1 save and -1 OC rather than the standard combo of -1 save, -1 to hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, fight first is pretty big here. Just being able to guarantee fight first. Doesn't matter if you can advance and charge, do all that bullshit. With your Victrix guard, being able to fight first is pretty good. So I do like that. As you said, Will.
I think it's better with champions, really, isn't it? I think the problem with the Foul Blightspawn is he's 75 points, and he attaches to Plague Marines. That the reality is Plague Marines are solid in combat, but I think if you math it out, I would be surprised if the Plague Marines pick up the squad. Even an all with the Foul Blightspawn leading them, depending on what the second character is, if you put all combat on them, I don't know if they'd actually pick up the Victrix guard squad because you're hitting on 4s. It's hitting on 4s is the problem. Yeah. And then it's the other characters that give you the sustained farts. If you're forgoing the, are you going like...
Well, in Champions, you don't need the Foul Blightspawn to fight first. Don't forget, you got it for this.
That's where I think Champions. Yeah, I don't think the Foul Blightspawn and Flame. I don't think it works in Villain Victorium, for example. But I think in Champions it does. I mean, in Champions, I actually think you do 5 Plague Marines with a character and the Lord of Poxies, because the Plague Marines aren't doing the work. The Plague Marines are just sticking the Lord of Poxies and a second character together, and you're giving the Lord of Poxies fight first. But then again, it's not enough dice to kill anything, unless they've lost a guy and you've got 3 CP. You can do the one-bow combo again, because the one-bow combo again probably does. I mean, I'm always impressed at how much damage that kicks out.
Yeah, I mean,
But I
like,
don't know.
I'm trying to think other detachments. Like Shamble Rock can get around the whole reactive move blood surge thing
Oh,
because
Flyborn.
if they kill a Poxwalk unit in melee, you just pay a CP, contagion for the rest of the game, so you can guarantee you get a 6-inch drop on them with Death Shroud and just try and go kill them with that way. So there's a couple of things you can do sort of there. What was your thoughts of Flyblown Host?
And turn your guns into pistols. It was Dave pointed out in
Oh,
the chat. So we've got to give Death Guard Davis his shout out there. So, for example, if they do blood surge into a unit, you can just go, right, okay, my guns are pistols now, and just shoot them anyway.
oh, that's
So
pretty
it's
funny, yeah.
yeah. It's quite a niche thing to do. Like again, you'd have to set it up. Like you'd have to have like 10 Blight Lord Terminators, or I don't know, like 10
Yeah, but
Plague
to be
Marines with bells and
fair,
whistles shooting.
it does allow you to like sort of put Blight Lords in an aggressive position to shoot them, hit them with like a Predator, for example, to give them the extra AP. They blood surge into your Blight Lords, they're obviously in contagion because they're next to you. The Blight Lords get the extra AP anyway, so you go 1 CP, here's a bunch of AP3 bolters with full reels to wound because Lord of Virulence is stood there. And here's again 3d6, 2 up anti-infantry flamers, which are AP4. And like that starts to hurt. And the Reaper auto cannons are also going to be AP 4, AP4.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's a question I have for you, Will. If we're coming to a Victrix meta, do you reckon if people are running Plague Marines, do they start going towards melter guns or do they stick with the plasma guns? Because that's an
I
interesting
think
one.
you've. I think you've got to put plasma guns on them. The reason I think you've got to do 2 plasma guns is because of the champion. You're nearly always going to want to overcharge the champion's gun, but his power fist is the best combat weapon in the squad. So I think you've got to have the second plasma gun. So when you roll your hazardous, you can pick up a different guy that isn't your champion. That's how I've always kind of come to
Okay.
think of it. But I think the melter gun is good, but then it kind of means that
It's the
you've
AP5 for
really got
contagion.
to think about that champion's overcharge.
Yeah.
You roll it.
Because the thing is, for me, if you manage to deliver, and again, we talk about the 10 man here, which is realistically not been doing great for a while because just how expensive it is, and we talked about the trade down problem. But if you did hypothetically manage to get a 10-man squad of melters, so 2 melter guns in contagion range, in melter range, with sustained lethal, and you did manage to fish, you paid the CP for 4 state and wound in VV, and you got the 2 5s, and then you got 4 wounds at AP5 melter. That will potentially just
Yeah,
kill
yeah,
4 straight up.
yeah. That'll just go through. I mean, do you know? I tell you what. Here's a community call out. If someone's seen this list, I'd really like to see it because I was trying to tinker with my phone with a concept. So Typhus from Team Poland, who's on Stat Check, when the book came out, was talking about this 40 Plague Marine list, which presumably, in my mind, is Virulent Victorian with 2 10-man Plague Marines. Because I imagine you reload the Rhino. I have never seen this, but he was talking about he was doing really well with it. In his opinion, he was even saying he was possibly the strongest build in the whole book. But I've never seen it anywhere. I've never seen him run it. If no one's seen that list or has it, please reach out because this could be the time when this list is really good. Because if you can do 10 as a throwaway unit with another 10 standing behind them, play the primary game, and maybe you do go for I've shot 1 Victrix squad and I've charged another, and then I've got another 10 waiting behind them with the 5-man Plague Marines kind of playing the mission and some shooting. I've tried to write this list and I keep sort of hitting different stumbling blocks. Does it need this? Does it have that? Have I gone too far here? But 40 Plague Marine list might be really good into this. I just don't know what it looks like. And, I would be really interested if someone knows what that list is, has seen him run at events. Please reach out and share because I think it'd be really interesting to see it. I don't know about yourself, Ian. Have you ever seen that or seen anyone running it and doing well with it?
I ran
40 Plague
30.
Marines.
I ran 30 max. I've not seen anyone do a full Plague Marine spam and do super well. Like I said, 30 is the max I did. I did 110 4-5s at a teams event in Bolton. And it did go 5. He went 5-0 in terms of teams, but it was like 4 wins, 1 draw. I went, but I don't know. I think the problem with that is even if it did well into this matchup, I feel like the Plague Marine build has so many matchups it just doesn't do well into.
Yeah. I
Which
mean, it was more. Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's terrain dependent in it.
yeah, it's very dependent. Phil Gagnon, thank you for being a member for 10 months. He says, I think the lads in chat are getting restless to love your content though. Everyone's just coming out with ideas to sort of kill these guys. DLC with their buckets and mortal wounds might be good, says the Birchie. Like, mortal wounds, they genuinely have no protection against, so any mortals you can get out, grenades, typhus is going to start hurting them. The only annoying thing is they are 4 wounds on models, so you have to do a lot of mortal wounds to just kill one. Like, on average, a grenades doesn't kill a single model, so you would have to do quite a lot of mortals to, like, start doing efficient damage, which is a bit annoying. So other things that don't trigger the reactive PBC from Necros, PBC mortal wounds, yeah, that doesn't trigger it. Mortarians, mortal wounds, yeah, that doesn't trigger it. The one big knight, the Abominant's AoE mortal wounds, stank shock, tank shock, grenades, yeah, none of that triggers yet, you're correct.
Here's something we haven't talked about, because I mean, I don't think Plague Storm's dead. I just think it's kind of waiting for its next iteration. Do you think Plague Storm's good into this? Like, are 3 PBCs an answer? Or do you think you're just triggering the reactive move without actually killing enough of the squad to justify it? Because I don't know. I can't decide on that one, because that was something that got brought up as well.
What was that? Sorry, I was reading another web there.
No, I was saying, do you think Plague Storm do well into this? Because, you know, are 3 PBCs scary to this? Or do they go, I've got a 2+ save?
I think the 2+ save just meh.
Like, yeah, because you're bit up on 3s, aren't you? Like, I think you'll chip away at the squad, but you're probably just triggering.
If they really wanted to, they could AOC 1 back to 2s. Oh no, so it'd still be 3s because they can never get back to a 2-up save. So if you Mortys hammer them and put them to -1 save. Yeah, so that's another thing as well, chat. If you -1 save these guys, they can never get back to a 2-up save. So if you shoot them with AP0 or AP1, even if they AOC it and they're in contagion, they can never go back to a 2-up save. So just bear that in mind, everyone in chat. Necros also says, I am here. Is the trick to cry? I am good at that. No, Necros, the trick is not to cry. The trick is to buckle down. Death Guard have plenty of ways to kill. We've killed power armor armies for a long time. We will continue to kill them.
There's one unit we haven't talked. We talked about as part of the fly plone. Is this where 10 Blight Lords in VV are good? Because you can do -1 damage, and their shooting from the 10 probably picks up the majority of a squad. It might not do all of it, but I think if you do the 1 more combo, full hit to wounds, full roll to hit, full roll to wounds, they're in half range, the nearest target, so you get the AP. I don't know. Is it is it meaningful or?
That unit shoots ridiculously hard, and they would not enjoy fighting it because you hit an important toughness breakpoint, like best case then Oath do on 4s. And it's an entire squad of 2 damage, so going down to 1 damage with -1 damage. Like, that is the perfect sort of durability against that enemy. I think it'd be pretty good. I think the biggest problem we have is there's no way to fall back and shoot them. So, and also it depends what sort of what works around that Marine. So, again, we got to remember there's still 1,000 points of Marines around this. So, yeah, if we see a lot of damage 3 shooting, probably not, because you're obviously going to have to spend your CP to the melee, which means that, unless you've got 4 CP a turn, you're going to run out real quick.
Have to put the Prince in, wouldn't you?
Prince is mandatory. But that's not bad, because as I said, the Prince is a bit annoying for them to deal with. It's like, that's not the biggest
problem. It's more to spam the -1 damage, isn't it? Yeah. You could do it in shooting and the Prince. I mean, like I said, I've seen Nass's list from the recent Teams weekend where he did actually take VV with 10 Blight Lords. So I can maybe share that and maybe share that afterwards. It's probably common knowledge now anyway, to be fair. I mean, that would probably be the VV build that you take into this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, that might even have been written specifically for this, actually, bearing that when I'm thinking about it a little bit more.
Sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like Morty, like I say, Morty's also got the right profile to kill this with his 2 damage sweep and T12. But again, Morty comes with his whole other set of problems where he might be good in this matchup, but also I've seen people put 2 Vindicators in these lists. Morty does not want to get oathed and look at a Vindicator, so I don't know.
That's the problem. It's what's backing up the rest of the Ultramarines list, because if it's Vindicators and stuff, that's real bad for Morty. But if it becomes different, if it's like if they go down the route where it's like maybe like a couple of hammer strikes or whatnot, that's not the biggest issue. Like Morty can tank glass cannon kind of things, because you're only on 4s, he has a 4-up invulnerable, like it's not the biggest thing in the world. He obviously doesn't like Oath, but I mean, this is the thing, like we're not too far away from a slate, theoretically. Obviously we don't actually know, but timeline says it should be. And honestly, even if the points don't get touched, but I imagine the points are, the biggest thing that's going to be interesting to see is if they lose +1 to wound on Oath, because that changes that discussion entirely. Like, if we can get to the discussion where we're having Vindicators when you're on 3s instead of 2s, gives them extra fail state. But again, especially in terms of the Victrix punching up, the Victrix then become a lot worse because they punch up a lot worse. Like, at that point, they're going to have to start bringing lieutenants to give them lethal hits. And at that point, that's another like 60 points in each squad. And then, as Will said before, that sort of trade down trap starts going away a bit because now there's another 60-point character in there, so they're more expensive, and if they're probably going to go up in points themselves anyway, like now that's getting to also be like a 400-point unit. So killing a 400 and 400 point, that's kind of okay at that point. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think we've got plenty of tools though to deal with it. I think I will say, out of the armies in the game, I think we're one of the more better equipped to deal with it. So I just think we've got to be a bit creative. Again, maybe we see a Predator, like even just a single strategic reserve Predator coming back into the lists just to proc that extra -1 AP because it's just no invul in this unit. And just being clever with managing blood surges. Again, pox swaps is great. Things like that. Demon detachment, brilliant. Plague bus.
I mean, you also put Lord of Virulence in because you get the 4 rolls on some Death Shroud to wound and you're on 54+, which admittedly you wound on 4s anyway. But then the other thing is, if you are going to do this, I think the thing you probably have to pick the squad up. You know, if you're going to do do you want the Lord of Virulence to sort of have rerolls on your guns to make sure you know, because if you're going to line a squad up of Victrix guards and commit to it, you've got to kill them. That's the other issue, isn't it?
And one interesting thing though with Lord of Virulence here is, so take away the buff. So obviously Lance and Sustain from the Lord of Contagion is incredible, but if you take that away for a second, the actual melee profiles on the Lord of Virulence and the Lord of Contagion will do the same damage to Victrix Guard because the 3 damage is not relevant in this target. The 2 damage and the 3 damage is the same. They have the same AP. They've got lethal hits. Obviously, Lance and Sustain is the thing that makes the Lord of Contagion crazy. But what it means is like the Lord of Virulence can still do some good work, especially if you've got AP3 on your Power Fist. You have 5 attacks. You're on 2, so good chance you hit them all, or at least hit 4. Then you wound a fair few. Like, he'll pick up a guy on his own, maybe 2 if you're lucky. So, like, the Lord of Virulence is not going to be terrible in this matchup either. Whereas against 3 wound elite infantry, that we see quite a lot, he's really inefficient compared to Lord of Contagion.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see what comes out, you know, innovation-wise, and I do wonder if there is going to be a teams build with Taliban that someone's going to sort of show up with that's deliberately built to beat this.
It's just called
I don't know what it looks
like.
Yeah, because I started trying to write one, but the problem is all the tools we've talked about, you fill the points up before you've got all the tools in, or you've got a list with like just these amazing killing tools and no mission play, and then you sort of, I don't know. So I couldn't quite work it out, but that's not to say that someone else isn't going to. But I think Taliban definitely have all the tools. Like, if you were to look at the Victrix Guard problem and say, well, you need these things, Taliban have all of the things. It's just whether you can make that fit within a 2,000 point list that's functional, that can also play other armies.
I will say
the big
one
question.
final thing before we go off. T10, it's not the greatest thing in our book, but T10 is a breakpoint, mainly because don't forget only one of these Victrix Guard units can have the banner, which gives them the +1 strength that once per game. Because
also only one's going to have Oath as well.
Yes, and they only really have Oath in 1 point. So if you try and tackle them, try and tackle more than one at the same time in a way, like try and go for 2, because the clapback will only sort of return 1 kill. Alright, I think I'm going to have to wrap up there. We're an hour.
We've got dinner on as well, mate. So I'll do a quick roundup just of the various things. Obviously, Aiden's voice is pretty shot, so
Thank you.
Aiden's the Vanguard Tactics Death Guard coach, so if you are looking to get some coaching, reach out to Vanguard Tactics and you'll be able to book sessions with Aiden. Dave as well is also affiliated with them. I think they have some pre-recorded masterclasses, which are fantastic from what I've heard. Also, we have the merch shop, which Dave's been working hard on. We can get your Plague Bus t-shirts, objective markers, and other sort of various branded things for the shop for the podcast. Baron of Dice, we're affiliated with. They've been doing us some fantastic dice, which keep selling out. They keep saying they're doing a bigger order, so they don't. They do thousands and they just go like overnight. So thanks again. We have such an amazing community that are just so hungry for these things. I think they should have stock at the moment. And Dave does also order big batches here of the UK to make it much cheaper the postage. We're affiliated with Element Games as well here in the UK. So anything you buy in, if you use the affiliate link that you'll be able to find either in the description of videos on the main page of the channel, it gives a little kickback. It's not huge, doesn't cost you anything else, but just helps us keep doing what we're doing. Also, Solitaire Games, absolute fantastic gentleman from Scotland who I've met on a few times. He's one of the nicest guys you've ever meet. He has some Oh, was he? Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
I didn't see him.
Yeah, he's got some branded, disgusting resilient sort of gaming aids, like measuring sticks, like little tokens, also some sticks to measure contagion. Fantastic stuff, all branded to our channel as well, so well worth going to check out. And of course, like and subscribe. How could I forget? I think I've covered everything. Have I missed anything in?
No, you nailed it, mate. Nailed it. Well
there you go. Oh. And obviously the various tiers of the Discord, which Aidan mentioned before. It's standard one is £3 to get you in there.
Yeah.
Blight Lord tier is £7, and then Death Shroud tier is
personalised list reviews on Blight Surgery, which I'll do a double one this weekend because I did my event recap last weekend and I blew my voice out, so I couldn't do one yesterday. So I'll do a 2 hour long one this weekend for everyone, or 2 1 hour ones. I'll figure it out. So yeah.
And then this is Death Shroud tier 20 a month, but that's just you don't get
only 9. Only 9.
Oh, only 9 a month. There you go. So yeah. Ian helped me, correct me at the end. Didn't get it all perfect, but
20 sounds good though.
So, yeah, that's not be more Mortarian to you. I'm going to be at Leicester GT this weekend. Come and say hi. I am going to wear my Discuss Resilient shirt on one of the days. I haven't decided which one, but I'm going to rep it. So come say hi if you are there. Also, if you live in and around Manchester, Stockport, my team Stonehammer, we're running a tournament on the 27th of December. So that's a Saturday after Christmas. So if you're getting a bit sick of the family or you've had too much turkey, there you go. Get out the house and come to Element Games. 20 quid a ticket. It's not going to include food this time because it's just too hard to arrange that close to Christmas. But there's still loads of still loads of stuff around, and Element Games do have their own kitchen as well, which I think will be open. But come down, be lots of silly games, things like that. It's normally just a community thing, but also still competitive play for those who want it.
Question for that one, Will. Is it the usual where you're not worried about painting standards requirements because we want people to play with the new toys?
So yeah, Christmas ones. I think last time we even said grey plastic was fine. I think it's had to be built. I think was the rule. So that way, if you do get an army on Christmas Day and you want to be a madman and build it all on Boxing Day and take it, that's completely fine.
I'll vouch. It's a very fun event, and I think that's the one I'm going to be taking my Let My Stream build list for. So we'll have that before the date happens, so the stream can build my list for that. Because a lot of people just take fun stuff to that one. It's always a good laugh.
Yeah, that's it. I think because it's a very popular event. Last year we had like 50 people at RTT. So we didn't even bother with we still did the top 3 as a shout out, your handshake and a picture, but because there were so many undefeated players, we did like raffles, and the raffles weren't necessarily the people who won every time you got a ticket, and there was like little fun prizes and stuff. So the idea is just to have fun, get out the house and sort of have a community side, get to see your mates and things as well. So yeah, so anyway, rambled a bit about that, but tickets are available online at Element Games website already. And also if you use the affiliate link, you will be given a kickback to us too. So yeah, anything else you want to add in before we go? I know your voice is struggling a bit.
No, so just hopefully we give some guys some ideas how to sort of deal with Victrix guard of our army. I think we actually stayed fairly positive. It didn't dissolve into ranting Aiden, which is quite nice. So I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us, Will. I think we got the information out, so happy with that, and we tried to stay positive on it. But yeah, no, again, don't worry about it. Things will get fixed anyways. It's late soon, so I think we're in a pretty happy spot. But yeah, for now, everybody, sort of thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna go and rest this voice and get a nice. I think I'm gonna get like a soft coffee. I think I don't even drink coffee, but I think I need something warm.
Get some with ginger in it, mate. Get like ginger's what you want. Yeah. Like that's what's good. Or if you're really bad, Cavonia cough medicine.
I've got.
If you bring it down,
I've been down in that by the liter.
Yeah. There you go. You've already got the good stuff. Yeah, not that we're sponsored by Cavonia, but if you're out there, Cavonia,
that would be so funny. Having a Nurgle channel sponsored by Cavonia. That would be Cavonia. We're listening.
There you go.
The one random Cavonia rep in the chat, and I was like, it's my chance.
That's it, yeah. But on that note, guys,
Johnny,
we'll
Johnny
do
in the
a shoot.
chat. Dave is looking at getting dice trays. It's a bit hard to find suppliers and stuff like that, but he will genuinely look at it. He enjoys that merch shop, so he will consider it and try and do his best to get them for you. But yeah, I think for that, everyone. So goodbye, Death Guard chat as well. And we'll see you all on the next episode. Stay rotten. Take care. Bye bye for now.
See you the next one, guys. Bye.
In the void, where the warp winds howl, a fleet once noble, now destined to fall. Grave wardens stir, betrayal takes shape, Typhon's whispers, sealing their fate. Navigators lost to the shadowed lie, a fleet adrift beneath a darkened sky. The warp's crew grasp, unyielding and tight, chaos awaits in the endless night. Whispers of power, a pestilent tide, Mortarian's pride, with nowhere to hide. The destroyer plague, a grim reward, Nurgle's laughter echoes aboard. Bound by decay, they rise in his name. The death god transformed, never the same. Plague-born sons with torment they bled, shambling forth where angels fear to tread. Mortarian stands, his sons by his side. Through agony storm, their oaths collide. Grandfather's hand, the pact is sealed. The legion reborn, their fate revealed. Rise in the armor, rot in the soul. A Primarch remade, his heart grown cold. In terror's shadow, their war drums beat. Pestilent warriors, no chance of retreat. Through breach and ruin, their banners fly. With death's embrace, they'll never die. The Lion's Gate, where hope was torn. Jagged blade meets the Plague-born. Bound by decay, they rise in his name. The death god transformed, never the same. Plague-born sons with torment they bled, shambling forth where angels fear to tread. Typhus herald, chaos born, Mortarian's wrath, the plague sworn. In the warp, their legacy thrives, eternal servants where corruption lies. Mortarians fall, Typhus ascends, the death god song, it never ends.